Okay, so we've got the walls here. They've been built so that they are matching the dimensions from our handout. Now what I want to do is I want to change the wall type. So if I select those walls and I unpin them, I can do that just by clicking on the pins of the walls that are selected. I can go over here while they're selected and I can change them to a different wall type. In doing that, I do run the risk of those walls shifting a bit. So I'm going to zoom in on the corner so you can see what's going to happen here. So notice that the location line is set to core face exterior. I'm going to switch it to wall center line just to demonstrate how badly this can go if we're not being careful. Okay, so let's say that it's set to wall center line and I decide to change my wall types. So let's change the wall types to let's see, something really dramatically different. We'll do exterior brick on wood stud, which is quite a bit thicker than the existing wall type. So I'm going to click on that and it's going to immediately make that change over here. Now what you may not have noticed is when we did that, the center of the wall has moved. So therefore the dimensions to the outside face of core, which should be the 36 by 26 by 22, has shifted as well. So if I put dimensions on this and I look to see where those dimensions are going, notice that when I click on them, they're not going to the outside of the brick, they're going to the outside face of stud, which is considered the core in this wall. If I do the same thing on the other side, my dimensions no longer are correct. Because we chose wall center line, all of the walls replace themselves around exactly the same center line. That would only work if the walls were exactly the same thickness. Since these walls are considerably thicker than the generic walls, we created a problem with our model and we basically blew up all of our nice tidy dimensions. Okay, so I'm going to back up and we're back to these being correct. And I'm going to select all of the walls and change this to core face exterior. So now when the walls get replaced, the outside edge of the walls, which we're considering core face, is going to remain in the same position regardless of which wall type I choose from. So I'm going to pick the same wall type, exterior brick on wood stud. And you can see this time around the walls didn't shift. They stayed in place. And if I select this wall and I look to see that it's matching the outside face of stud here and here, it has remained as 20 feet. So our dimensions didn't blow up. This is a really important process to understand how to do correctly. Otherwise, you end up having a lot of extra work on your hands. All right, now to demonstrate a few other things that will make more sense now that we have something to look at. Here is what coarse looks like. See, we have a line, single line representing the full thickness of the wall with no information about the layers in the wall. If we switch this to medium, we can see every layer in the wall. If we switch this to fine, then at a larger scale, we're going to see a lot more information. Okay. If we switch our view here to a shaded view, you will get actual colors representing the materials within the wall. So we have brick red, we have gypsum wallboard, sheathing gold, we have the core wood construction, which is kind of a tan, and then we have the gypsum wallboard, which is sort of a grayish color. So we can actually see, and the airspace is white, by the way, so we can actually see the layers in color. If we are to switch to a 3D view, and we can do that by going down to the 3D views here and double clicking on 3D, we can also see those same shaded materials from the outside. If we zoom in close enough, we can see the actual brick pattern, and we see that the walls are 20 feet tall. Okay, so this is a three-dimensional model we're actually creating while we're working in this first floor plan. All right, so what I'm going to do now is I'm going to change these walls to an appropriate wall type for this project, and I'm going to assume that it's either shingles or clapboard. So I'm going to select all the walls, make sure that the location line is set to core face exterior, and I will pick wood siding, wood shingle over wood siding on wood stud. Let's see what we have for layers. That's actually too many layers. I don't like that one. So I think I needed to just pick shingles here. There it is. This is the one that I want. Perfect. All right, so now when we look at it, we can see the layers. There's the shingles, there's the wood siding, sheathing rather, the 2x6 wood, and then the gypsum wallboard. We look at this in the 3D view. We're going to see the actual materials represented in the 3D view. There are shingles instead of brick. And our walls remained in the correct locations. If I click on a wall, I can see that my dimensions remained 20. So what I'm going to do in the next video is show you how to create interior partitions, and we will also control the wall heights